Welcome into the Ben Buzz. This is Benny King, and I'm joined by a guest and my brother, Luke Wiederholt.
What's up? Hey.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the new Clipse album that dropped last week. And this was really, it's certainly the best album that I've heard in 2025. It's called Let God Sort 'Em Out, and it's by Clipse, which, if you don't know, it's a group from Pusha T and Malice. And, you can listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff, but not only are Pusha T and Malice incredible lyricists, but the things that they're able to do and the people that they're able to draw in as features. When we're scrolling through this track list, they got Kendrick Lamar, Tyler, the Creator, Pharrell Williams, John Legend, Nas. It's like all across the board. Feels like almost like an Avengers type thing. Everyone coming together for this album, and they really put together a great album. What do you think, Luke?
This album is absolutely just fantastic. This album is probably the most consistent album I've heard all year. Definitely one of the best, and really just brings me back, into the hip-hop genre.
Right, I absolutely agree. And even though we didn't leave, this really feels like not only an homage, but a rebirth of original hip-hop, where it really feels like lyricism. It really feels like they're committed, and it's not just, auto-tune, or it's not just, whatever it is. It's really about the lyrics, and it's really about the culture, and I feel like they certainly nail that. And bringing in Kendrick Lamar after his huge run with Drake, obviously, and then GNX, and then coming in here, he absolutely kills his feature on Chains and Whips. And then one song later, you get POV with Tyler, the Creator, who also has an incredible performance, and he's coming off a big album in Chromacopia. And Tyler, the Creator, even though his early career wasn't the best, his last 4 or 5 albums have just been so incredible. He's really on a tear, and to bring him on this album, he really shines. And Pusha T and Malice are so underrated in the rap game, and especially when they come together to form Clipse. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, their chemistry on this album is just so
ridiculous.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome to listen to, just because they're so alike with their styles. And their songs just work together great.
Right. Yeah, and even and the features, they really fit in there, but they don't feel like they no track really feels like it overstays its welcome. As Luke said, incredibly concise album. And this is just a really great. There's so many tracks. The Birds Don't Sing is an incredible intro. Chains and Whips, POV, All Things Considered is great. And then you get a song where it's she want a Mike Tyson blow to the face. It all comes together so well, and it feels like everything has its place on the album. And then you end up getting the last couple tracks are a great closer, where you get the track Let God Sort 'Em Out /Chandeliers, where you get a really interesting beat. Clipse, they really shine, but then Nas steals the show on his feature to end the song. And then the final track, By the Grace of God, really brings everything together. 13 songs, 41 minutes, and that's what I like, is that it doesn't feel like it drags. There's no song that really feels like, it's oh, I wish they didn't put that one on there to be perfect. Oh, that's a skip. Oh, that's a skip. Oh, that's a miss. Everything feels like it really came together in this album. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, definitely one of the most consistent albums I've heard from Clipse, or just It's so good. Back to back to back, every song just fits so well on this album.
Right. This definitely feels like the best Clipse that we've gotten since Hell Hath No Fury, which is an incredible album if you haven't heard it, early in the 2010s. And interesting too, it dropped on July 11th, which is the same day as the Superman movie, which has been breaking records for DC as of late, and they really needed that one. But anyways, this album, it really is interesting how Pusha T's obviously been on a tear. He had his whole a beef with Drake as well in 2019, I believe. And Pusha T, he's really been incredible. But every once in a while, him and Malice, who they form together, and they form Clipse, and they put together incredible projects like this. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, it's just crazy that Malice was retired and then came out of retirement to make this amazing project. And this is their first album in 10 years, and it shows that they're still one of the greats. They still did a really great job with this album.
Right, I agree. And the fact that you said that Malice, like, he was retired or he was thinking about it and he came out for this album, and he shines on every track that he's in. Malice, such an incredible lyricist, and he did really amazing on this album, I believe. And, you know, it's certainly the best album that I've heard this year. And, you know, they came out, they had a couple lead singles. Ace Trumpets was one of the ones they released earlier, but the ones that really... So Be It was as well, yeah. But Chains and Whips is probably... that might be the best one. POV's really great, but... I mean, it's one of those albums where it's hard to pick a favorite, at least this early, because it feels like every track knows its place, every track fits in so together, and every track feels so impactful and great that it's really hard to pick a favorite. What do you think, Luke?
I wouldn't really say so. Chains and Whips or So Be is definitely one of my favorites right now, at least, just because both of them are just so good. You never get bored of them, and there's not a bad verse in either of those songs.
Right, and there's an interesting pocket in this one, too, where there's 3 songs in a row that are acronyms, where you get MTB, TTF, which is Mike Tyson, blow to the face, and then you get EB, ITDA, and then FICO. Very interesting changing of tracks there. I mean, honestly, every track on this album is really great, and you get great, not just lyricism, you get great rap, obviously, but you get John Legend and Pharrell Williams, who come in, and the singing, like on the first track, like the birds don't sing, like the singing is really great on this track when it happens, and it knows its moments to happen. What do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, you never get bored of the singing on this album.
It knows its place.
It knows its place, and it doesn't drag on too long to make you think, where's the rapping at, you know?
Right. It's still very much a hip-hop and rap album, but when John Legend and Pharrell Williams, when they do come in and when they sing, it very much amplifies the album, and it complements the rap verses in a very interesting way. So now as we're gearing up towards what would be the the Grammys for 2025, this album is certainly a candidate for that, wouldn't you say, Luke?
Yeah, it's very much up there with, like Ben said earlier, Chromacopia or GNX, where it could definitely probably compete with those as well. Like, it's one of the most consistent albums that we've gone in a bit.
Right. And, I mean, you know, we don't count on the Grammys to really nominate the best ones, as it feels like they often drop the ball. And as Clipse, even though they're incredible rap artists and definitely respected in the rap game, overall popularity, you know, will the Grammys see that? Will they? Because there's been so many albums. I mean, we talk about last year with the Grammys where Doechii won with Alligator Bites Never Heal. And even though, like, out of the ones they nominated, I mean, yeah, she should have won, but there were so many great albums of that year that were not nominated. Would you care to name a few, Luke?
Yeah, like, I Lay Down My Life for You by JPEG Mafia wasn't nominated,
Incredible.
even though that was probably one of the best rap album last year. Also considering the fact that they didn't nominate Denzel Curry, one of the most consistent artists that we have right now. King Mischievous 2 was a masterpiece, and they didn't nominate that one either. But they nominated The Death of Slim Shady
Ridiculous.
by Eminem, even though he's publicly trashed the Grammys and said that he would never go to one again. And his album was even close to one of the best rap albums last year.
Right. Yeah, it really comes down to popularity, it seems, because Eminem, as you said, obviously one of the biggest in the game since he came out in the early 2000s, where he had several albums. I mean, I believe he's still the top seller in terms of albums. Probably won't get beaten in that margin. But, yeah, over the years, he's definitely said, like, in interviews, I will not come back to the Grammys. He said, don't nominate me, don't do that, like, because he's not going to, like, he doesn't care. And even if his album was the best that year, he still wouldn't have wanted to show up. But it wasn't. It wasn't even, I mean, it wasn't the best of what they nominated. It wasn't near the best of what was released that year. And Luke and I, we listened to that early, the night that it came out with our older brother, because we were really hyped because, I mean, Eminem's dropped a lot of great music in the past, and it did not meet our expectations. And that we set that bar for Eminem, and even though that bar has lowered over the years, it still didn't feel like an album that should be nominated for Rap Album of the Year, even though there were great tracks on it. And instead we get A lot of nominations. Alligator Bites Never Heal, obviously deserved. I think you can say We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin deserved to be nominated, especially with the Kendrick feature on Like That ended up skyrocketing the whole Kendrick and Drake beef, which was the biggest thing in rap this past year. And he even got the Super Bowl to top that off. But you nominate something like J. Cole's Might Delete Later, which there are great songs on there, but he had literally deleted one of the songs off there that dissed Kendrick and apologized, and it just killed the whole album, where it's like, why do you nominate that? Where it was like almost just like an EP or a mixtape.
Yeah.
And then you don't nominate the JPEG Mafia album or Blue Lips by Schoolboy Q. Just really silly stuff by the Grammys, where even though we're talking about this Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clipse, where it's like, it's such a great album, it's so impactful, the features are great, there's no track that drags, there's no misses, but it's like, even though we think that this is definitely in the running for Rap Album of the Year, there's a good chance it won't even get nominated because the Grammys feels like such a sham when it comes to rap albums. What do you think, Luke?
Not to mention that Pusha T's Daytona was nominated in 2018, and it lost to Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy, which is just ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And Astroworld by Travis Scott came out that year as well, and they both lost to Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy, where it kind of felt like they just wanted to give her the win, since the last woman who had won it was Lauryn Hill in 99, instead of waiting for an album that actually deserved it, like, I don't know, Alligator Bites Never Heal, which they did. But, did not feel deserved, and it definitely feels like a popularity contest or who they want to win. And I feel like that's very evident when they nominate someone like Eminem, where, sure, he didn't win, but, like, his album wasn't the best that year, but because a lot of people hold him very high, a lot of people, he's still their favorite rapper, that he ends up just getting nominated just because he dropped an album, which feels very silly, and it feels like getting nominated should be reserved for the best albums. You feel me, Luke?
Yeah, very silly of the Grammys.
I know. Very silly. Yeah, I mean, we can even go further back to when Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar lost to Macklemore. And
whatever that album was called.
It was Macklemore and
The Heist.
Lewis, right?
The
The
Heist.
Heist.
Yeah.
Which is very poetic that they named it The Heist, as they seemingly robbed Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. But then later, Kendrick won for Mr. Morale and The Big Stepper, and it was like, oh, did he deserve it? There was albums like The Forever Story by Jid that maybe should have won it. It basically feels like whoever wins the Grammys is whoever they want to win it, or whoever they think is the most popular or whatever. It really sucks that it's getting to that point. And the fact that even though this is such a great album, we're like, we think it's probably one of the best of the year, but we're not even confident that the Grammys will be smart enough to nominate it. Now, do you think, out of the albums that have been released in the time frame that the Grammys puts out, with albums like GNX, Chromacopia, Let God Sort 'Em Out, do you think that this album here by Clipse could win Grammy Album of the Year?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
not.
Well, we can't trust the Grammys to nominate it, so we don't even know if it's going to get there, if they're because they're not at the popularity that some of the guys are at, unfortunately. But I think it does help their case that they have people like Kendrick Lamar and Tyler, the Creator, and Pharrell Williams on this album, so that more people tune in. We're like, hey, did you listen to a new Clipse album? No, who's Clipse? Well, Kendrick and Tyler and, Pharrell, they're all on it. Oh, maybe I'll check it out. So it's great that they have those features that can kind of help out their popularity. But Grammys aside, do you think this is the best rap album that would be released in the Grammys timeframe?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
You're saying it's better than GNX and Chromacopia?
I do think so. I do think this is better than GNX and Chromacopia. Just
Yeah,
by
I agree.
a little bit.
Yeah, it's very close, but I feel like every song on this album ends up hitting, and even though there's certain parts that don't land as well, where you've talked about certain lines on Ace Trumpets that don't really land for you, where it feels, where the lyricism isn't there just in certain parts, but it's still not a bad song, or it's not, you might say it's the worst on the album, but it's not like a miss or a skip. Where if we go to albums like GNX, where we have a lot of great tracks, Whacked Out Murals being the intro, Squabble Up's a great hit, TV Off was huge with the Super Bowl, and Luther, of course, with SZA, but you still have tracks like the title track GNX, which end up not hitting, or you're like, I'd skip that one, the beat's kind of messy, and it feels like Clipse doesn't really have that sort of song that you just want to skip, where it feels like every song, even though some are better than others, you still want to listen. You still don't want to just skip past it like you would with that song on GNX. What do you think?
Yeah. I do think this is much more consistent than GNX. Like, even songs like Man at the Garden, even though it's, like, a good song, I still kind of find it boring, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, GNX is just kind of annoying, and, yeah. I don't have a single song on Let God Sort 'Em Out that I feel the same about as I do with GNX.
Right. And that's not saying GNX is a bad album, because we've said that we think it's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Obviously, the intro's great. Squabble Up, Luther. Tracks like Reincarnated and Heart Part 6 that really hit hard and emotions. And then Gloria is a great outro. And it's pretty consistent, too. It's only 12 songs, 44 minutes. But you do have the track GNX, where I think that's the big red mark on this album, where it's like, oh, it's not at the same quality as the rest of the album. And then even Dodger Blue is a solid track, and it's a little shorter than maybe it should be, but then even points like it's not like as much of a rapping. It's kind of, maybe you say it's out of place. I don't know, but I don't feel that hesitation on the new Clipse album. Where I'm like, oh, that feels out of place. Oh, I don't like that as much as the rest of the album. Even though some of them aren't as good, obviously songs are going to be better than others, it feels like every song finds its place in like the puzzle piece of the album, and everything really comes together nicely. What do you think?
Yeah, it all really just ties up in the end. Like, as I said, like, it's definitely one of the most consistent album. Every song pretty much hits. Some duds and verses or some lyrics I find silly.
Right.
But overall, this project is just fantastic.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. And then with it being called Let God Sort 'Em Out, and with the last two tracks being Let God Sort 'Em Out, and then the last one where it's like, I made it through all these hardships by the grace of God, which is the title, that really comes together and really tells a story where through all this rapping and all this singing, where like it ends up wrapping up to really leave a really solid message and story on the album that correlates with the title. And when we look at songs on Chromacopia, which is another one that is going to be in the running for the Oscar this year.
Grammys this year.
The Grammys. I keep getting that mixed up. My apologies, audience. But, like, the intro is great. Like, Saint Chroma, Ra-Ta-Ta, Annoyed is pretty good. Darling Eye. But, like, there's certain pockets of the album where it's like, Hey Jane, where it's, like, a great song about, like, responsibility. And it is solid, but it does feel boring in some parts. And then I Killed You is pretty solid, and I've heard some people not like Judge Judy, but I think overall, where you have the fact that you have to question the placement, you're like, oh, that's kind of boring. Oh, that's not. Where with this new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, it's more so like, oh, I didn't like that line, or I didn't like that. It's not necessarily, oh, that song was a bit off, which I think is a big difference. But I definitely think Chromacopia, but with these three albums, I think Let God Sort 'Em Out, it might be number one. But Chromacopia, I think, is number two. Because I think Chromacopia is better than GNX, which is funny because I think GNX is probably going to win at the Grammys just because of popularity. I mean, it was off the hype of Kendrick's song, Not Like Us, that ended up getting so many streams and a lot of YouTube views on the official video. And there's so many hits on it, and I feel like he has more popularity than Tyler or Clipse. I mean, Kendrick's probably at the top of the game right now in terms of, hip-hop. But I do believe Chromacopia is the better album, where you get an outro like I Hope You Find Your Way Home, which is so great. Thought I Was Dead's great. And then the biggest hit off this album, it might be the biggest or second biggest, Like Him. Just so great. And the messages on this album are great. It's about, like, a lot of stuff about responsibility, about how his dad wasn't there, but he's learning to forgive him and forgive his mom for not telling him, and just a lot of stuff it's a lot of hard-hitting stuff, but there's still songs like Ra-Ta-Ta, Thought I Was Dead, that are really great, and Sticky, of course, that are great hits. But Chromacopia, I really like this album, and even though it's probably not going to win behind GNX, I think it's definitely better. What do you think? Do you think it's better?
I do think it's probably a little better just because it's a lot more consistent than GNX.
Right. And it feels like it's more certain of the story that it's trying to tell.
Yeah.
Where feel like every song, like, and you'll get to songs that like end, but then there's like a minute or so of like build up and like songs that transition into the next one so nicely, and just putting in the effort to do that is really great. But on this new album with Let God Sort 'Em Out, like, I don't, like, even though there are great messages and there are great, things like that, and no track feels out of place or underwhelming, and other than just a few lines that maybe don't land. What do you think?
Yeah, like, especially songs like Ace Trumpets, there's definitely some lines that don't land for me.
Right.
Would you like an example?
Go ahead. We got all the time.
On Ace Trumpets, Pusha T says, "Yellow diamonds look like pee-pee," which is just so stupid.
Right. It's pretty lazy, right? Yeah.
But Ace Trumpets overall is still a banger. Kind
Right.
of, yeah.
Feels like it might just be a line for the little kids to laugh about, but it's like, it's not really. It really feels out of place from the whole song, too. Because
Yeah.
he really goes hard lyrically on that, but then that kind of leaves a stain on the song for you.
Yeah.
Where, like, that's, like, when I've talked to you about this song, like, that's all you can remember. You're like, yeah, but he said, well, yellow diamonds look like pee-pee. And it's a really silly line. Doesn't ruin the song for me, but it's like, with a lyricist such as Pusha T, and then, with Malice as well, it's like, how do you write that? How do you put that onto your song?
Yeah.
Now, we're harping on that one line, but, like, every other line is great. So, yeah. But truly a great album from Clipse. And if we go back to albums like Hell Hath No Fury, where there are some really great songs on that one, where you get Wamp Wamp, Got It For Cheap, Dirty Money, Hello New World, Keys Open Doors, things like that. Like, this album, that one came out in 2006 from these same two guys that just dropped an album in 2025, Clipse, which is Pusha T and Malice. Do you think that this new album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, is better than Hell Hath No Fury?
Probably not. Yeah.
You think so? Yeah,
because this album is just great.
Yeah, this is probably their best to date, and also the nostalgia too.
Right,
so it'll probably take a minute to really differentiate which one you think is better. But I mean, every track on this one hits, and even though there are a couple features on it, most of the great songs are done without features, outside of Wamp Wamp, where that one, like, the beats were like the beats on Wamp Wamp are really great, and some of the beats were like some of the sounds and the same themes of that song end up coming back in the new album, where this production is a little similar. But overall, the production on this new album is really great. What do you think, Luke? What's your favorite produced song on this new album?
It is probably Wamp Wamp, as you said. Like, the beat is just so creative, and it just sounds so cool. Like, the xylophone or marimba.
I 100% agree.
It's just, it's so good and enjoyable.
Right, I agree. And then on this new album, I think they really nail the production with bringing in some of the nostalgia from Hell Hath No Fury, but also putting in new themes and then really spitting it back out at us, where it really feels inventive. What do you think's the best produced song on this new album, Let God Sort Them Out?
The song So Be It, obviously, like, that has to be the best produced song. That sample works so well with the violins, and
I agree.
Like, it fits the song so well, and it just sounds so cool when you're listening to it.
I agree. And obviously it's not the same, it's not, but it really, the production on that really sounds similar to Wamp Wamp as well, just a little different, but like the way it's like, so be it, and little, it all fits really great. And obviously the rap performances are great, the singing performances is great, but the backbone of this album is its great production. And I think that's really something that they, really rely on. And just every single track's like beats, where there's a couple things where it's like in the chorus it's like a little different, like a little softer production, and then sometimes with singing where it's kind of like soft, and then when you get into the verses, all of a sudden it like drops down, or there's bass, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's like turning you up, but then the chorus makes you sing. And the way they have that dichotomy on a lot of these tracks is really interesting. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, like, easily one of the best produced albums from this year. I do think Chromacopia is probably a little bit better produced than this album, but like, this is still such a awesome produced album with Pharrell on like half the tracks of this album, just bringing his best production yet. you know?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Pharrell did really well. Where Pharrell over the past years, he's kind of fallen off. He's not been bad, but he hasn't been at the peak of where he was. Like, I mean, he's even produced tracks like All Right on Kendrick Lamar's T-Pab, which like that, you know, that one I believe won Rap Song of the Year. It was something like that, but that whole album won at the Grammys. But Pharrell really got in his bag on this album.
Yeah.
And he also has a lot of like singing performances. Some of them are a little auto-tuned, but he does a really great job where like on that last track, that closer, By the Grace of God, where like you really can feel it in like the lyrics, and then it goes into the rapping, and then it comes back where he's singing. And like a lot of the tracks, I mean, Pharrell, how many tracks did he end up appearing on this album? Is it looks like 4 tracks, and then he might have produced on some of them that they don't have the names on. Just really great performances lyrically, you know, with the rapping and then the singing, and then with guys like Pharrell, with the production is really great. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, just the production and the lyrics just come together so well to make this amazing project.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. And it only came out just a few days ago, but it really does feel like the best rap that I've heard this year. I mean, it's just a really great album. And what they were able to do, the messages they were able to send, who they were able to bring in when it comes to features, it feels like everything came together very nicely for this album. Do you agree, Luke?
Yeah, I would agree.
Right. Yeah. But even on tracks like POV, where like I believe Pusha T raps first, and then like you have the Tyler feature, and then all of a sudden where you think the song's over, then the beat switches, and then you get a great verse from Malice. Just certain things like that, where like they could have let the song end, they could have just ended it, but they went the extra mile, and they, with the beat switches and with putting in more work in production, and then Malice lyrically, like just things like that, they really went the extra mile and really went all out with this album. And that's crazy to think that this guy came out of retirement for this album. What do you think?
Yeah, just this album's just crazy in terms of lyrics and production. And Malice did like such a good job, even though he's been out of the game for like 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can tell those 10 years he's been saving up some great rap performances, because he certainly delivered on every track he appears in. Would you agree?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but it really is a great album. But all in all, this Clipse album really feels like it delivers on all cylinders. And, you know, especially it's been so long since we've gotten a Clipse album. And so it was just really awesome to hear new work from them. Pusha T and Malice united. And this is just a really great album and really great listening experience for me and my 2 brothers that like to listen to rap albums together whenever they drop, as we all live in different states. But, man, what a moment that Clipse album was. And leading up to this new Grammy cycle where we've got GNX, Chromacopia, you know, and obviously Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clipse. We're leading up to some more music in about a month where we're going to get hopefully a new album from Jid, which a lot of you might not know him, but if you don't, you should probably check out The Forever Story, his 2022 album, which I believe should have won Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys. It didn't, but it's one of the best albums in my opinion. And we got some interesting news from Jid where we got an EP called GDLU from Jid. It's got, you know, Eminem, Lil Yachty, and 6 Black on it, which really, this was a surprising EP that we did not expect, especially since we're supposed to get an album next month, and we haven't seen an album from him in about 3 years. What did you think about this EP, GDLU, Luke?
It's really solid and just gets me so pumped for Jid's next album. Like,
I agree.
this EP is just amazing. The song Animals, Jid goes on it so hard, just spitting constantly for like 3 minutes. And then we got an awesome feature from Eminem talking about the theme of the song Animals, but also talking about Diddy being free from jail, which is just ridiculous. And then
Right.
and he's still convinced that he put the hit on Pac.
Well, I agree. And Eminem's been one of the big voices against Diddy as well, where he's been taking shots at Diddy for decades at this point. And he had done a lot of that on the song Fuel on his album, which also he was with Jid. And, that was Jid's feature on that one was incredible and ended up stealing the show on the album for me, where I think Fuel is the best song on that album, The Death of Slim Shady. And then Eminem returns the favor, giving Jid a great feature here. And I really did not expect getting this EP, where we've been waiting for Jid's album, God Do Like Dirty, in August or so. And he's dropped some lead singles for that. And we were really just waiting because it's been 3 years since we've seen Forever Story. And, Jid, he can take a while with dropping his albums, where he had dropped The Never Story in 2017, and then we had to wait 5 years for the Forever Story. Well worth the wait, but still, it's a long time to wait for an album. But not only did we get an EP early, which is really surprising, but we're also going to get hopefully another great album from Jid in August. What do you think?
His next album is called God Does Like Ugly, and I think it's going to be a fantastic album. After the Forever Story, his rapping on there alone is just amazing, and it really pops off.
I agree. And the main hits on that album with Surround Sound with 21 Savage, which is a huge song. Dance Now is huge too, but there's so many great songs here that didn't end up getting that popular, where it's like Radar is incredible, Crack Sandwich, Can't Punk Me. Cody Blue 31's such a great song. The harmonies, the singing on that one, and then the rapping, it really feels meaningful. It feels incredible, right? And then songs like Can't Make You Change, and then certain outros with Better Days in 2007. If you haven't listened to The Forever Story by Jid, you should definitely check it out on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you get your music. But this album, with how great that this album was, and how many times I've re-listened to this album over and over, it really makes me so excited for this next album, because I'm like, we've gotten such a great album from Jid, where it just makes me so excited for what he has to come. What do you think?
Yeah, this album is just Forever Story was just an incredible project, one of the best rap albums from that year, 2022, and yeah, I'm very excited for this album. 2025 is just going to be stacked.
I know.
With great projects. A$AP Rocky is also dropping an album called Don't Be Dumb. And the last time we heard from Travis was 7 years ago with Testing, which I didn't really like that project. A lot of people didn't. One of his weakest projects. But the fact that A$AP is taking so long to drop Don't Be Dumb, I am very excited for this next album that he's going to be dropping.
Right. Makes you think that he's taking his time and really trying to put together a great project, like the one we've been talking about all day with Clipse. Let God Sort 'Em Out, where we haven't heard an album from them in so long, and then we finally get one, and it's great. And you talked about A$AP Rocky dropping an album that you thought was disappointing, and we've had a lot of greats in the game that feel like they've fallen off as of late as they continue to try to drop music as they get older, where we just saw Lil Wayne drop the Carter 6.
Carter 6, and was really not a good album. Such a disappointment compared to projects like the Carter 1, my personal favorite Carter, and the Carter 3, which is also fantastic album.
Right.
But it seems as of late, great artists that I really admire, like Kanye, have just fallen off the spectrum in terms of music quality.
Right, because we can talk about albums, the run that he had, where The College Dropout, where I believe it's a 10 out of 10. Late Registration, Graduation, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Jesus, all these, The Life of Pablo, Kids See Ghosts, all these albums, he's had such a great run, and then it feels like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, along with his sort of mental sprees on Twitter, where it just feels like his music no longer still has the same effect. What do you think?
Yeah, his music is just so disappointing. There's a real last year that he was on Nitrous Oxide, and it's probably caused him brain damage, so that his mental state and his music has completely dropped off. He's not making good music anymore, which really sucks because I admire Kanye so much. Definitely my favorite rapper ever. And it sucks to see him drop such terrible music, especially last year. And
Right.
yeah, like it's really bad when you know that he had Miles on an album last year, and a rapper at that time was a joke. Like, he's a joke rapper who always made terrible music, and his goal was to be the most terrible rapper, and Kanye had him as a feature. That just shows how, like, much he's dropped the ball.
Right. Don't disrespect my goat, Miles, but I agree. Where even though he has some funny tracks, but it's all for funny. He's not actually collaborating with big rappers, and it was just kind of random.
Yeah. And this year he dropped Donda 2, which people also say is a major disappointment, because this has been teased for years and was one of his good unreleased project, which he has multiple, and people are really disappointed with Donda 2. People were even pointing out that Donda 1, 2021, was Kanye's last good album, with amazing tracks like Off the Grid, Life at the Party with Andre 3000, Praise God. Some of my favorite Kanye tracks on this album. And then he drops Donda 2, which is just such a disappointment.
Right.
And
I agree.
It sucks to see Kanye in such a low state. It really just shows how much he's deteriorating. And I don't think he's ever going to make a comeback.
Right. And then you see, like, with albums like The College Dropout, where that last song on it, where he, the song's like about 5 minutes, but then for like 10 minutes, he's just talking about his life and his backstory and like how everything happened.
That's the last call.
The last call, yeah. I'm saying the last song on College Dropout. And
business.
What's up?
You said family business.
No, I never said that. I said the last song on College Dropout. Okay. But anyways, for like 10 minutes, he's talking about like his life and his backstory and how he got into the rap game. And it really feels like he's such a genuine guy. And it really sucks to see what has been happening to him, because it sucks, like Luke said, when you idolize someone like this, when you love someone's music this much, and then just out of nowhere, they start dropping so many projects over the course of 2 years that are not great, that are not good, that's not himself. And you just see with all the stuff that he's been tweeting about on Twitter and like the interviews that he's done, where it really feels like it's not Kanye anymore. It feels like he's not there.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Kanye's gone. Ye has taken over. This Ye era has just been...
His alias. Yeah.
It's just terrible.
I agree.
Kanye made such good music.
Right. For the longest time, too.
For the longest time. Like, what a great run that he had from 2004 to 2021. Like, he would probably be my number one rapper of all time if it weren't for these dumpster projects that he's been dropping the last 1-2 years. It just sucks seeing him like this. And
right.
To also point out, he showed up on a podcast in a KKK robe this year.
Just inexcusable.
Yeah.
It's really sad the way he's fallen off.
Yeah.
Not only we can see he's obviously not there mentally, and obviously that sucks, but like maybe that correlates as well, but the way he's fallen off musically is just such a downgrade, and it's just so unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks seeing my hero just keep falling and getting worse and worse and worse.
Right. And it sucks because it makes you angry. It's like, why did you make all of these incredible projects for so long, get me to be a fan, make me love you, and then all of a sudden it's like you're doing this to your fans. It's really unfortunate.
It is. It sucks.
Yeah. And not to the same extent, but like we can talk about even rappers like Eminem, where a lot of people have him as their GOAT, which is crazy. Like, I don't, but, I can see why people would get there. I mean, if, he's kind of who got me into rap, where early on he was my favorite rapper as well. But it really feels like after, like, a while where he had, like, incredible albums, and then all of a sudden he drops Encore, a stinker, and then he kind of gets back on track for a little bit. And then he's been rapping over the past, like, 10 years, but it really doesn't feel like he's dropped that great of an album since his early days. But then he keeps trying, like, with... Well, Revival was the ultimate dud, right? That's what really kind of killed his career. And then Kamikaze had a few good songs, but overall as a project, it's not great, right? And then you get to Music to Be Murdered By, which is a little better, but it's not the same. And then you get to an album like The Death of Some Shady, where me and my brothers were really excited for this. We weren't expecting too much, but we were hoping for a great album, especially since it's supposed to be his send-off. It's supposed to be the last album of his career, right? And I think so.
No, it was supposed to kill off.
Yeah, I agree.
his
Yeah, that was the
ego.
point. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make an album again, but going into it, we thought it's a very big possibility it could be his last album, right?
It just sucks because Encore was supposed to be his send-off. Like, even the cover of him bowing, showing that he's gone, he's leaving.
Right.
But Encore is just such a dumpster fire that he had to come back and release Relapse, which also, in my opinion, is not that good of a project.
Mm-hmm.
But then he kind of bounced back. He made Recovery, which I think is kind of solid. And then he made Marshall Mathers LP 2, which I think is a pretty good project. Definitely his best since Eminem Show. But
100% agree.
But then he dropped Revival, which easily his worst project. He had so many bad songs, and it just sucks because he hasn't been able to bounce back from Revival. Bearded Eminem era still hasn't made a good album.
Right. Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because Revival was obviously very awful, right? And then he came back with Kamikaze, and it really felt like, oh, this is an album where he's going to try to get back on track, snap back at, like, some of his haters. And there are good tracks on here, but, like, there's too many duds, and it doesn't work as an album. Like, it's just not great, where it's, like, it's supposed to be the bounce back and, like, responding to all the haters, but it doesn't feel like it really gets the job done, where it still feels like, okay, but you didn't really prove anything because this still isn't the best of a project, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Even though it didn't serve its purpose, I think. Now, I do think he had a decent album with Music to Be Murdered By. Not to the level of his really great albums, I think. But, I mean, it's better than Kamikaze. It's better than Revival, right? It's better than Encore, maybe.
Definitely is better than Encore.
You know what I mean, though. I'm not trying to hype it up too much because I don't think it's that great. But it's, it's fine. But we really went into this hoping for a great Eminem album. And it tricked us into thinking that it might have been for a little bit because Renaissance is such a great album, and it really, a really great song, and it really does feel like the old Eminem.
Yeah. I do think this is his best project since Revival. Ben
Right.
doesn't agree with that. But
No,
yeah,
I agree.
I
agree.
Like, this album seems to be more focused about getting people mad than good music.
It doesn't feel like it does its purpose. Like, he
Yeah.
reuses a lot of the same things, too, where he talks about Caitlyn Jenner on, like he says her name so many times, where, like, the first time it's like, oh, okay, because you know how he does, especially back in the day where he'd, like, trash talk Hillary Clinton or, like, that type of stuff, or, like, some wars where, like, he would make fun of it. But it feels like it was so 10 years ago, and then it also, he just keeps saying the same thing over and over, where it's like he's running out of material because he's not really getting hated on anymore, but he keeps pretending like he is on this album, and that really kills it for me.
Yeah, also the fact that he keeps talking about Christopher Reeves.
Oh, I 100% agree. Yeah.
It's so disrespectful, but also, like, he keeps talking about him just to get people angry.
Right. And it's not doing it anymore because it was because he talked about Christopher Reeves a lot in the old days, which maybe is why he was trying to do it here, because he was trying to recapture that lightning in the bottle, but it's just weird now, especially after his passing, where it's just like, it's so disrespectful, but then it's also so overused where it's like, we don't even care anymore. It's just like, stop hearkening back to the same thing over and over just to try to recapture what worked in the past. It just doesn't fit for me, where I felt like there were a lot of stuff where we would have liked the old Eminem more, where, like, Renaissance is great, but then times when he tries too hard to harken back to the old Eminem with all the Christopher Reeves references that are so out of place that it really just kind of ruins the album for me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like, him trying so hard to offend people kind of just ruins the project.
Right, I agree. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's a total dud, though, because you do have great tracks, like Fuel, with the Jid's feature. Jid is really great, and then this is probably Eminem's best performance on this album. And then you get songs about his daughter, like Temporary, and, with Somebody Save Me as well. Pretty great tracks. Houdini's not the best, but it did what it needed to do. It was a great hit for him. But there's just a lot of duds where, like, Guilty Conscience 2, which if you remember, like, Guilty Conscience, the original with him and Dr. Dre, was so great back in the day on Slim Shady LP, and we ended up really hyped going into this one because we loved that first song. And this song, Guilty Conscience 2, it's just really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's trying to do a thing where it's like he's killing his old self, but it really doesn't land. And, you know, it just really doesn't fit for me. What do you think's the best track on this album?
It's obviously Fuel. Like,
Right.
Jid has such a phenomenal feature, but Eminem also really pops off too. And it just makes me think, why was the whole album like Fuel?
Right.
Because Eminem can still rap and he can still make good music. So it just kind of annoys me that the whole album wasn't like this.
Right, I agree. Or it feels like we're almost like cheated, where it's like, so you can still rap this way. You can still do great on a track. So why do we have so many duds where it's like, you know, Brand New Dance, that's kind of like, I think that's a track that was actually scrapped from Encore.
Yeah.
So that was a solid nostalgia track, and it's a solid one to, like, I dance to, I guess, but it's not the best track. Head Honcho isn't the best. You know, there's just a lot of songs. Bad One isn't the best. Toby, I like Toby, though. Toby's a solid song. Where he gets Big Sean and Baby Tron. It's a solid song with all the rappers being from Detroit. That was a solid message, but just really, it's a very underwhelming album, I think. Yeah. What do you think's the worst song on this album?
It's got to be Bad One. Bad One's just really bad. I feel like I could say the same for Evil. Bad One or Evil. Evil's just boring. And Bad One is just not good at all. Yeah,
I agree. Even when he tries to bring new themes into it, like he had dissed Candace Owens, who's a conservative, journalist, YouTuber, where he had done a really great diss against her early in the album. And then later, I think it was on Bad One, he dissed her again, but it just felt like he already did it fine, and it was, it was a solid one where it still felt relevant today. But then he overused it and tried to do it again, and it just kind of ruins the first one, where it's like, what are you doing? Where this really doesn't feel like the Eminem that we grew up with, at least in terms of his earlier works.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you look at his top albums. I mean, what do you think is his best album of all time?
Definitely Marshall Mathers LP. Not a single bad track on that one. And, like, he's not trying to be that offensive on this album, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, but he's not like sort of breaking the fourth wall and being like, oh, they keep trying to cancel me. Oh, they keep trying to, where like this stuff, it feels like he's just saying a lot of stuff that it was relevant to the time, and it was like offensive and all that stuff. Where this one, it's like he's trying to be offensive, or he's not really trying to be offensive, where it feels like he's just trying to pretend that he's getting a reaction that he's not getting. Maybe just because he'd get that in the past. And I don't know what he thought that the reaction would be to this new album, but it certainly wasn't, because if he was on this album constantly going, oh, they're canceling me for what I'm saying, oh, then it would have killed it, right? But instead, he lets it breathe, and he says the offensive stuff, and it's like, whoa, did he just say that? But he's not like, oh, I bet you didn't think I'd say that. Oh, I bet they're going to cancel me, which is basically what this new album is, which really bothers me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like no one's trying to cancel you anymore, where it's like no one cares, and you're not even saying anything that crazy. It's really just pretending to who he used to be, I think.
Right, yeah. Definitely would agree.
Right. And, I mean, he has one of the best 3-album runs of all time, with Slim Shady LP, The Eminem Show, and the Marshall Mathers LP being between those two. Just really sad to see a fall-off like this from such a great artist. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would definitely agree. It sucks seeing him make such bad music.
Right. Like, would you say he was one of your favorite artists?
Definitely, like, last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Was he one of the artists that kind of got you into hip-hop as well?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I feel like that's for most people as well, because he feels like the most mainstream, the most popular. But it's just unfortunate to see a fall-off like that. And even though Death of Some Shady isn't that bad, it's like, for his standards, it's kind of upsetting.
Yeah.
Well, Luke, thank you for joining me on the Ben Buzz. And this is a really great episode where we talked about rap, and we'll have episodes coming weekly, hopefully. We'll see what we're able to do. Maybe every Wednesday. What do you think, Luke?
Probably not. I'm busy.
Okay. Well, I'll see if maybe I'll have different guests every week. We'll figure it out. But anyways, this has been the Ben Buzz. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Luke, my guest.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Ben.
Thank you, Luke. This has been the Ben Buzz starring Benny King. Thanks for tuning in.